Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our awards breakfast this morning. My name is Rick Pierce. I'm the Vice President, and it's my pleasure, actually this is a real joy, to be handing out special awards of recognition to our NACM members. Our first award this morning is the presentation of the Early Career Professional Award, better known as the ECP Award. ECP is presented to each year to recognize distinguished service and outstanding contributions to the profession of court administration and the judicial system by an early career professional. This year's recipient is Stacy Werby, the Alaska Statewide Jury Coordinator. Stacy's duties, or daily duties, dedicate all of her time to one of the most instrumental parts of the court system, which is jury service. She has hosted various forums and created multiple resources to jurors in her community and in her entire state of Alaska. You talk about bringing jurors in from a size the state of Alaska, that's quite a challenge and quite a feat. Ms. Werby is also extremely dedicated to NACM as a whole and has generated more interest in the ECP community or committee through the hosting of multiple SIG sessions. This has increased NACM membership and added a buzz to her committee. Her out-of-the-box thinking will always be an asset and is currently an asset as well to NACM. Ms. Stacy Werby unfortunately cannot be present today, but I would like to show you her award. Our second award is the Perkins Award. The Perkins Award was established in 2013 to honor longtime association manager Linda Perkins, who was the first recipient. The award is given to an individual who consistently goes above and beyond to make behind-the-scenes contributions to the field of court administration and their court. It gives me great joy to present the Perkins Award this year to Ms. Zanelle Brown from the Third Circuit Court of Michigan. Zanelle is an attorney, author, and court executive in the state of Michigan with over 20 years of experience. She often refers to herself as the champion of justice for all through diversity, equity, and inclusion. She's definitely earned this title. She's continually authoring articles on the topic and has presented completed bonus sessions at various NACM conferences. Her writings and deeds are both inspirational and aspirational, particularly in a real-time DEI manner. She's often sought out as an after subject matter expert consultant and as a leader, and I can attest to that since we just had her in Pennsylvania last month. Through her work in her court and nationwide, she has a clear commitment to achieving organizational success and demonstrates outstanding public service, diplomacy, consistent professionalism, and outstanding skill levels in all phases of the job, regardless of the role. It is evident that she selflessly works to enhance the knowledge regarding court administration and in the area of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Will you please join me in recognizing Ms. Zanelle Brown?
So I have 1,000,002 people to thank for this. I do not stand here on my own merit. I stand here because of the encouragement that I've been getting from family, friends, and colleagues. So I won't list all of those people because I realize that we have a session following this, but I do want to say thank you to all those people. I was asked by Rick, did I want to make any remarks, and my first response was no. I'm really an introvert, and my first response was no. But then I recalled what my current Chief Justice always said. He says, justice does not whisper. He learned that when he was in law school. So I would have been doing him a disservice if justice was actually silent. So I wanted to take just a moment of the program and ask that each of us go back into our courts, wherever it is, whatever position that we sit in, and make sure that we do what's right when it comes to DE&I. It doesn't matter your title, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing the work. Everybody's talking about, I need to learn, I need to learn. You know something. You already know something. We know about human kindness, we know about human compassion, we know about empathy. So start there. And I have nothing more to say. I'm going to take my little introverted self and sit down. And thank you so much, NACM.
Thank you, Zanelle. The Enhancing Justice Award recognizes achievement and commendable projects that enhance the administration of justice. The Texas judiciary was recognized as holding the first jury trial via Zoom back in 2020, and afterward participated in webinars to share what had worked well and what they would do differently in the future. How many of you happen to have an opportunity to see that on the RRT discussion regarding the jury trial that they conducted via webinar? Yeah, quite a few in this room. Overall, the study found remote hearings tend to take about 1/3 longer than when hearings that are held in person. However, that is on average of a hearing taking about 30 minutes, which means it really takes about 40 minutes if it's done remotely. But to explore the implications of these findings, the National Center for State Courts worked with the Texas judiciary with a series of 3 focus groups with 15 judges who fully participated in the time study. The purpose of the focus groups was to gather judicial perspective on a range of issues related to court workload that involves both remote and in-person hearings. Several themes emerged from this study, which has since been published and distributed nationally by the center. Texas judges reported that holding remote hearings has definite benefits for expanding access to justice for many litigants, despite taking somewhat longer on average. And what is more important? A little bit of a length of time in your hearing, or actually increasing access to justice? One major advantage to litigants is the added convenience of not needing to take time off work, locate transportation, or find childcare. In some jurisdictions, remote practices allows litigants, including those who are self-represented, to schedule hearings at specific times within short time windows. Remote hearings may also expand access to courts for witnesses, victims, experts, and other court stakeholders who live in remote locations or who fear for their safety in the court. The challenges: Texas judges identified several technology-related problems as well. Primary concern is the digital divide. And of course, we've all heard about that, and so I'll need to go into further detail about that. But also that the proceedings tend to lend themselves as a benefit to remote hearings. Judges ask whether certain case types of hearings are more or less suited for remote hearings. These judges agreed that the types of cases is less relevant than the type of hearing in most instances. Generally speaking, remote hearings function most effectively with hearings that are short in nature and limited in scope, such as setting trial dates, status hearings, permanency hearings, discovery hearings, and motion hearings of various types. Additionally, in terms of case types that work well for remote dockets, judges indicated the types of matters that affect people's ability to get on with their lives, such as many probate or orphans court matters. Child protective services or other family law cases work as well. The impact on the remote hearings on judges was this. The consensus is that remote proceedings will continue for the foreseeable future. Judges reported that while remote hearings can be exhausting, they are beneficial to litigants in many ways and allow for broader inclusion of interested parties than in-person hearings do. Courts should also focus on ways to reduce stress and Zoom fatigue, which many of us have experienced over the last 2 years. In addition to working with the development of these remote hearings in this particular study, Texas has worked very closely along with the Conference of State Court Administrators and the Conference of Chief Justices in developing the Rapid Response Team, which is staffed by the National Center for State Courts. The RRT created a roadmap to help state courts move forward, and that started very early in the pandemic. In 2021, the RRT's implementation lab allowed courts from across the country to participate in a real-time national learning community, and many of us had the opportunity to view and receive those benefits. With case counts dropping in the first quarter of 2022, state courts are emerging from the pandemic, facing ongoing challenges and also huge opportunities to innovate in the delivery of court services. We'd be remiss if we did not recognize Chief Justice Nathan Hecht of the Texas Supreme Court, who played an integral role in leading the COSCA CCJ RRT. And many of you have had an opportunity to view and hear him on Zoom. He helped pave the way for a plethora of resources, guides, and webinars for courts navigating a challenging and changing landscape in the judiciary. It's my pleasure now to recognize the Texas judiciary with this award. Jeffrey.
Just to make it clear, I'm accepting on behalf of the state, but really, if I could, I want to recognize David Slaton. The pandemic happened under David Slaton's leadership, and, well, you know what I mean. But when the pandemic hit, David went into full throttle mode and changed everything we were doing and was spending countless hours just working with judges across the state to figure out what the best way to do remote hearings was. He worked with staff and said, you're no longer doing what you used to do. This is your job, is to focus on getting courts online and doing remote hearings. And he worked very closely with Chief Justice Nathan Hecht to make Texas where we are today. And all of you know, getting courts to where they are today has not been an individual effort, and it's not just the chief and the state court administrator, but it's an entire team effort for everyone across the state to really change and adapt to what we used to do to what we're doing now. So thank you, David. Thank you, Chief Justice Hecht, and thank you for this award.
Thank you, Jeffrey, and thank you, David. Our last award for this morning is the Award of Merit. The Award of Merit is presented each year at the NACM Annual Conference to recognize distinguished service and outstanding contributions to the profession of court administration. And it gives me great joy to announce this year's recipient as Mr. Paul DeLoche from the Administrative Office of Virginia Courts. Sorry, Paul, this might take a while. There's quite a bit to say. Paul joined the AOC in Virginia in 1991 and was appointed Director of the Department of Judicial Services in 2004. The department serves the courts of Virginia through its court dispute resolution and specialty dockets, records management, and foreign language service divisions. But just as important, Paul served as a leadership role with the National Association of Court Management since 2004, and many of you recall his presidency in 2018 to 2019. and it was a memorable presidency as well. As the 34th president of NACM, Paul revitalized the association's mission and partnerships. Under Paul, in 2018, NACM formally recognized a strategic marketing plan. The goal of the marketing plan is to formalize the process for direct outreach and management that extends beyond regular membership communication to also include key partners and stakeholders to promote NACM products, events, services, and other offerings to bring awareness and request further outreach to their members and constituencies. Some of the marketed products and events include, as we heard from on our President Kathy Griffin on Tuesday, the State of the Profession Address, the National Agenda, the Core, and its curricula. Conferences call for proposals, live streaming schedules, webinars, podcasts, many guides, including 2 that were disseminated this week, and other publications, resolutions, code of conduct, mentoring, and early career professionals activity. Mr. DeLoche renewed and strengthened NACM's partnership with several key organizations during his leadership at NACM, including the Conference of Chief Public Information Officers, which is also called CCPIO, the National Council of Juvenile Family Court Judges, Court Information Technology Officers Consortium, National Association of State Judicial Educators, we've heard from this earlier this week, and many state and regional associations. These revitalized partnerships brought joint projects in the form of webinars, conference sessions, guides, and more. Among the many contributions to the profession of court management, Paul is also role as the NACM representative on the NACM-COSCA National Center for State Courts Joint Technology Committee. Paul served as an editor, author, and contributor for several notable JTC projects, white papers, presentations, and so much more. He also served as a principal author and editor of all 3 iterations of the National Agenda, as I can attest to that, NACM's document and statement on the profession of court management. Paul is a fellow of the Institute for Court Management, having committed himself to the profession and paying it forward. In that role, he has been a subject matter expert and presenter for ICM courses for many years and has been an enthusiastic supporter of education for Virginia State Court managers and staff. In 2020, he collaborated with ICM to pioneer the first virtual live ICM certification course, which was public relations. How appropriate. As the primary faculty for the public relations course, Paul had recently updated the course content, and he subsequently recreated the course for delivery by webinar, emphasizing the interaction between presenter and participants and among the participants themselves. Paul taught the course 3 times in less than 2 months and proved that ICM's courses could be effective in engaging in a virtual format. Since then, over 50 ICM courses deliveries have been made virtually. In addition to his contributions as presenter and course developer, Paul has encouraged several other members of his staff to become certified ICM presenters. He was also instrumental in developing the Virginia State Courts Staff Rewards Program that acknowledges the accomplishment of earning the ICM Certified Court Manager designation and the ICM Fellows Program. Paul has served as a member of the ICM Board of Advisors, and last year, 2021, he was the Star Recipient Award for ICM, and in 2022, he is the recipient of the NACM Award of Merit. Mr. Paul DeLoche.
Thank you, Rick. I really appreciate this. And I was just made aware that I would be the recipient of this award when I arrived in Milwaukee. So I'm still very much shocked, but I'm so honored to receive NACM's really highest award of achievement. And I'm really more so humbled by it because throughout the years, I have seen the recipients of this award who I have really looked up to and admired and thought, I wish that I could achieve what they have achieved in their career. And I think the NACM board and the awards committee and all those that supported my nomination for this award, I really must take a step back and thank NACM in general. When I started in court administration years ago and I was moving throughout the court system, I was often asked by managers and supervisors, what do you want to accomplish? What do you want your legacy to be? And like any of us in the court system, we want to make the court system the best that it could possibly be. I want to implement new programs and services, and I want to take all the policies and procedures that we have, shake them up, and then come with even better procedures to, again, what all of us try to do is to increase access to justice. And so I was encouraged along the way. I was told, if you want to do all that, then you need NACM. I didn't know what NACM was at the time, but I joined. And by coming to these conferences like we all do, we started to learn, and I started to learn and grow. But then I decided, maybe I'll see what these committees do. And I joined committees. And I can't tell you how valuable that experience was for me. All those things that I had shared that I wanted to accomplish were even more greatly highlighted and enhanced by my involvement with the NACM committees. The opportunities that were provided, Rick was kind enough to mention a lot of the organizations that I got to work with. I never would have been able to work with those associations, CCPAO, with the National Association of Women Judges. But I was able, through my involvement on a NACM committee, to get engaged and be exposed to the great work of the court system around the country. It exposed me to the great people that wanted to do the same thing that I wanted to do. So in me thanking NACM, I really just want to share with you all. You all are here, again, to learn and grow. But I would encourage you, if you had the same response that you wanted to make some changes, improve the administration of justice, join a NACM committee. It was so valuable to me. Again, the opportunities to learn, to grow, not only professionally, but I was able to bring that back to my own court system. I never regretted joining NACM, and I never regretted joining a committee. Again, the opportunities are just immense. So I'll leave you with this. NACM is incredible. Again, I thank those who supported me and nominated me, but again, I thank NACM in general. We're the largest court management organization in the country, and we're that for a reason. Please take advantage of the opportunities to learn and grow and get involved. So I thank you all for this award, thank the NACM board, and thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you all. Okay, so who still has their tickets from me pestering them at lunch? Anybody? 1104. Going once, going twice. If you do, we posted it on the app. Please contact me, tina@nacmnet.org. And those tickets, if you were wondering, I wasn't at the lunch, or I must have missed you running around asking people for money. It was for the NACM Cares charity here in Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Justice Center. Your donations, not only with me pestering you, but also at the social event, we had raised $319. So congratulations, you guys did a great job. But we also had some online donations. I want to recognize everybody who went online and clicked on the Donate Now, and you raised $325. So sum total of $644. So again, congratulations, thank you. And I want to award this to Mary Forwerda. We also had some survey requests out there. The International Subcommittee had a survey, and most people went on there, clicked on there, and submitted it in order to win gift cards. So I've got two $20 Starbucks cards for Joshua Larson of Iowa. Woo! In case you didn't know, Joshua had won our scholarship to attend the conference. So there you go. We'll do a formal one. We'll do a formal one later. And then Amanda Uracha from Texas. I don't believe she's here, so we'll mail it to you if you're watching online or you're already on a plane. So congratulations to her. And finally, you've heard us talk about the CORE Champion Program, and we actually have an individual who has achieved two certifications from that program for the CORE Explorer and for the CORE Principal Specialist. I want to congratulate our first recipient, Jude Del Prior. So. And again, if you have any questions about how to get those certificates, please come see me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. At this time, I'd like to reconvene our business meeting from Monday. Madam Secretary, are there any financial issues? Thank you. One other thing is, as you all know, we had a vote for the bylaw change throughout the week. So I have a statement from the Governance Committee. The Governance Committee did not meet the timeline for presentation of the bylaw amendments to membership. We presented these amendments to remove in-person board attendance requirements and to update the mission and vision statements to align with our strategic plan. We respectfully ask the members to allow us to continue these amendments to the 2023 annual conference. So for any of you that did look at the bylaw change, we feel it's just a formality to put into our plan, but we're already allowing for virtual attendees to vote. We're just trying to clean it up to make it, to take away that. So we already feel we're meeting the requirements, but we'll address this again with the membership at the 2023 conference. So as you all know, from Monday, the nominations were closed. Per Robert's rules provide that there's only one person nominated for each position. The president is to declare nominations elected by acclamation. Therefore, nominations having been closed on Monday and there being only one nominee for each position, the slate of nominees presented is hereby elected by acclamation. Please join me in congratulating your new officers and board members. New officers, President Jeffrey Sunakawa from Texas. President-elect Rick Pierce from Pennsylvania. Vice President Tina Madison from Arizona. Secretary-Treasurer Kelly Hutton from North Dakota. And our three new board members, we'd like to welcome Dawn Palermo from Louisiana, Mary Bell from Georgia, Christy Colliard Tucker from Georgia. Thank you, everyone. I want to also recognize our outgoing board members. They have done a tremendous amount of work over the years, and we couldn't be in the position we're at right now without these individuals. So I'd like to have them come up and accept a certificate for their service. Kelly Hutton, outgoing director. She'll be sliding up to Jeff Chappell from Missouri, and our past president, TJ Bement from Georgia. You want him up here? Up on stage. Up on stage. One more photo up. I'd also like to recognize, hopefully she's watching live stream, Dorothy Howell from New Jersey. Dorothy could not be here because of a prior commitment, but we really appreciate all the work Dorothy did over the last 3 years, and we'll be sending her her certificate. At this time, I'd like to introduce David Slaton to swear in the new board.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to follow up a little bit on what Paul said. I was thinking about several of the things that Paul mentioned this morning, and so I'm going to try to reiterate some of those things to you in the room and those of you that might be watching online. In 2006, I was sitting right where many of you were, or many of you are, as a NACM member who had been in the profession for some time and wondering what I might be able to contribute more to the profession. And that's whenever I applied for service on a committee in NACM, served on the planning committee at the time, and shortly thereafter I applied for the board at the suggestion of a former past president of NACM. So I served on the board from 2006 until 2014, where I served for some time as the president of, for a year as the president of NACM. So now I'm that past president, looking at all of you and encouraging you to get involved in NACM. The board that we're going to be swearing in this morning have made that commitment to service, and I think I would just urge you all to do the same. I will tell you that my time on the board was one of the most rewarding times, busiest times, one of the most rewarding times of my career, and I certainly urge you all to get involved in a committee, consider applying for the board, and providing service back to the membership. So before I ask the board to come up and swear them in, I just want to say a few words. I appreciate the opportunity to be given this honor to swear in the board this morning. Since we're in Wisconsin, I found a great quote from Vince Lombardi, former coach of the Green Bay Packers, who said that leadership is not just one quality, but rather a blend of many qualities. And while no one individual possesses all of the needed talents that go into leadership, each man can develop a combination to make him a leader. One of those individuals that we're going to be swearing in this morning, and you'll hear from shortly, is Jeffrey Sunakawa. And Jeffrey might not think that he has all the talents and qualities to be the leader, but he's been developing many years the qualities and combination that have made him a great leader. I personally had the opportunity to meet Jeffrey in Baltimore, Maryland at a NACM mid-year Super Bowl party. We made a connection, and I immediately at the time was on the board and began to talk to Jeffrey about a mentor-mentee relationship. Jeffrey, you were my mentee. Sort of a joke between me and him because I was not a very good mentor many times. But we developed a relationship at that point, and I began to be able to talk to Jeffrey regularly and encourage him in his career development. Shortly thereafter, an opening opened in Texas at the State Court Administrator's Office, and I said, this man could be a really good person on our staff, and so we hired him as the Deputy Director of Research and Court Services in Texas. And then after his boss left, a former past president of NACM as well, left, Jeffrey was promoted into the role of Director of Research and Court Services. And Jeffrey has had a distinguished service, at least for my personal observation in Texas, but throughout his career. And he's had a great service to NACM. And so I'm really proud of you, Jeffrey, and it's my distinct honor to be able to swear you in. So at this time, I'll invite all of the officers and board members up to take your oath of office. Okay, if you're prepared to take the office, if you'll raise your right hand, and where I say state your name, please state your name. I state your name. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and uphold the principles of the National Association for Court Management, and that I will perform the duties of my office faithfully, impartially and justly, to the best of my ability, so help me God. Congratulations, your new NACM board.
So it's at this time for me to give my outgoing remarks, but pretty much everything I was going to say, Paul said, David said. So third time's a charm. Join a committee, get involved, join NACM. You won't regret it at all. The privilege of serving this past year as your president has been an outstanding, I just can't even put it into words, how much I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed meeting so many new people. For the first-time attendees here at the conference, hopefully I've encouraged you to get involved. If you didn't join as a member when you signed up for the conference, sign up for the membership and see all the benefits that we offer for our members. It's a tremendous organization full of tremendous people, and I appreciate every one of you and all the work that you do, not only for NACM, but in your own courts. So I was going to keep my remarks short anyway, because this is Jeffrey's day, not my day. I've had my year, so it's time to meet your new president, Jeffrey Sunakawa. So I'd like to transfer the gavel to Jeffrey. Congratulations.
So I don't have it here, but it's tradition that the outgoing president receive a gift, which we did give to Kathy on our board meeting on Saturday. And I wish I had a picture of it, but we did 3 sets of beverage glasses. We did wine glasses, beer steins, and rocks glasses. 2 sets had etched the Boston Marathon, then we had the Chicago Marathon, and then we had Kathy and her term on the board. So all of you know that Kathy is quite the runner, and I don't know how she does what she does, but she's amazing at what she does, so thank you. So it's kind of awkward because everything I want to say, Kathy has said, and Paul has said, and David has said. So if you hear some things that you've already heard before, it's just because it's very important. But I wanted to thank Kathy first of all. It's an honor and privilege to follow in Kathy's footsteps, as well as other past presidents' footsteps for this organization. NACM's been around for 36 years, and it's really a privilege to have this opportunity to lead such a great organization. We've served on the board as officers and board members. We all know that you can't get here by yourself. You can't get the job done on your own. It takes the work of a committee and a board that works really hard. So outside of the board, there's also some people I just want to thank on a personal level. First, I met my best friend, Eli Creighton, who drove up here from Louisville, Kentucky, where he was just relocated. We met at Seattle University in Seattle, Washington. We were both studying for our master's programs in public administration. We became best friends right off the bat. He's been a great support both professionally and personally, and I just want to thank you for that. Eli's no stranger to the courts or the law. For those of you who are familiar with Washington, his dad was the first judge of the Olympia, Washington Municipal Court, and his mom is a previous NACM member. She was a trial court administrator in Washington State. So afterwards, Eli went on to get his law degree, and he's now a captain judge advocate in the U.S. Army. So thank you for being here, Eli. And just as we make friends in our personal lives that support us in our professional lives, the opposite's also true. I met Jeff Chappell in 2014, so 8 years now, in Scottsdale, Arizona, at one of the better, I think, NACM conferences. Before I joined the board as a NACM director, I just didn't really know many people, and Jeff was one of the first people I connected with, and we've been friends ever since. He's been by my side. If you've ever been on calls with us, we tend to banter back and forth about who's the best Jeff. And Jeff, you know you're always the best Jeff. I've gotten to know Jeff and his wife Tracy and their dogs really well. We enjoy seeing them in Missouri. Fun fact about Jeff, so if you don't know, this is actually the end of Jeff's second 3-year term as a director on the board, and the only reason he ran for his second term was to see me through the officer track, so thanks, Jeff. And finally, I'd like to thank my crazy co-pilot in this crazy life, Carrie Mcgowan. Most of you know Carrie because I've been dragging him to conferences for my entire career of NACM. He supported me as I struggled to maintain a daytime job, the NACM board, committee work, a master's program, and while I studied to become an ICM fellow. He's become to love all the members of NACM. He recognizes the work that everyone in NACM does and the passion that everyone has for court management and court administration. So thank you, Carrie, for taking this journey with me. I appreciate that. And now I'd like to talk about the professional relationship that's helped me shape my time on the board. I never imagined I would be here. So as David said, my first time on the board was in Baltimore, Maryland at the Super Bowl party. At that time, I was living in Seattle, Washington, and my then boss, Yolanda Williams, for those that remember Yolanda, took a chance on me and offered me the opportunity to go to a NACM mid-year conference. I was a natural introvert, just like we heard earlier, and I was absolutely terrified at the thought of getting on a plane and going across the country and going to a hotel at a conference with people I didn't know and have never met before. But I overcame that fear. I took the flight and I came to my first mid-year conference in Baltimore. That night was the social event, and so I thought, well, I probably should go. This is what I've paid for. So I gathered all of my fears and pushed them to the side and made my way downstairs into the social event room. I grabbed my beer, I grabbed my snacks, I sat down, and I thought, I'm good. I did it. I made it. And then all of a sudden, this chair pulls up next to me, and a very calm, reassuring voice introduced themselves, and David Slaton opened the door to my NACM career. So thank you, David, for that. I appreciate that. Got my speech right here. I also want to thank some of my other NACM colleagues, Kathy, TJ, Paul, Vicky. These are some of the great individuals that have walked ahead of me as previous NACM board presidents. You really don't understand the magnitude of the work it takes to be a NACM board member, nevertheless an officer or a president. So I look forward to be able to lean on all of you over the next year as I work my way to maintain a great association. I want to skip through some of this. As we know, this year it's important to acknowledge that the past couple of years have been challenging for all of us in a variety of ways. What we would consider normal activities have had to be rethought and reshuffled. Communication is one of those. We've had to figure out new ways to communicate with each other during the pandemic. NACM has really done a great job during the pandemic as surviving as an association and as an organization. It's in thanks to all of you for supporting the organization this entire time. We can't thank you enough. So there's 3 things I just wanted to highlight that I've been thinking about that I'd like to focus on as the incoming president for NACM. First, I'd like to focus on strengthening our NACM relationships and internal connections. I want to move beyond the conference talk. I would love for all these conversations that we have at our annual conferences and our mid-year conferences to continue. We do great networking, we have great conversations, we share problems, we share solutions, we share all sorts of tips and tricks, and I want to keep those conversations moving forward. For example, we talk about coffee talks, we talk about Slack channels, so let's just do it. And as everyone said, it takes the work of volunteers on committees to do that. So if you're interested in keeping these conversations moving forward, reach out to a committee and join a committee and help. Secondly, I want to stay on top of technology and sharing that information. For example, in Texas, we've worked really hard with technology solution providers to develop solutions to help give judges greater access to criminal history when making bail decisions. So we can share those learnings with each other and help other states as they navigate through some of their problems. We all have examples of solutions that have worked in their own states, and so I want to share those solutions and keep those conversations moving. Additionally, I want to expand our relationships with our partner organizations and associations. We have great relationships with organizations such as NCJ, FCJ, the American Judges Association, the National Center for State Courts, the Mid-Atlantic Association for Court Management, and many others. Our vendors are also important to the success of NACM. I want to be thankful that they've stood by our side through the pandemic, and they showed up at our conference this week. As we look ahead at all these relationships that will only make us stronger and more successful, I can focus on my 3rd priority as NACM president. I really want to focus on educating the public about the work we do in our justice system and help to restore the confidence in our justice system. As we follow the roller coaster of daily news events, we're witnessing the momentous impact to the judiciary at all levels. Judicial officers are not only having their lives threatened, but they're having their family lives threatened. The public's questioning the integrity of our federal judiciary, and by default, our judiciary profession. The courts in this country exist to uphold the rule of law, but they don't operate in a vacuum separate from the people that they serve. To operate effectively, courts must rely on the public trust and confidence that we have, and we know that the public's trust in the system is sinking. Surveys and public polls are largely telling that same story, so we need to do something as an association. We need to take up a call to action, restore public trust and confidence in the judiciary. As court professionals, we can make a difference, individually in our own courts and collectively as an organization, as an association. It's been a very long journey, but we're beginning to see the faint glow of light at the end of this pandemic tunnel. I'm thankful to be surrounded by friends and colleagues, talented individuals that compose this great association, and I look forward to working with all of you over the next 12 months. Thank you.